In the winter of 1881, authorities in Leadville, Colorado, stumbled upon a discovery that would cast a shadow over the mining camps of the Rocky Mountains for decades. Beneath the floorboards of the McKenna Sisters saloon, investigators uncovered 23 sets of women's clothing, each carefully folded and stored as if they were inventory in a warehouse. Every bundle included a handwritten note detailing a name, age, physical description, and, most chillingly, a price. What made this find even more unsettling was that none of these women had been seen in Leadville for months. Their belongings, however, remained, catalogued with the cold precision of a business ledger tracking livestock sales. The items whispered tales of interrupted lives: a blue calico dress faintly scented with lavender soap, a pair of worn leather boots meticulously repaired, hinting at poverty and pride, and a silver locket containing a photograph of an elderly woman who would never learn her daughter's fate. Among the most heart-wrenching discoveries were unsent letters addressed to families back east, filled with hopes for new beginnings in the West and promises to write soon with news of success. The McKenna sisters, Catherine and Margaret, had vanished 3 days before the raid, leaving behind only these silent testimonies to crimes that local authorities would spend years trying to unravel. Their disappearance was so abrupt that neighbors swore they had gone to bed one evening as respected business owners and awakened to find their building empty, as if the sisters had been swallowed by the mountain air itself. The investigation that followed would expose a human trafficking network stretching from Colorado's mining camps to the brothels of San Francisco, a conspiracy so meticulously organized that it shattered everything the frontier town thought it knew about the two Irish women who had seemed like hard-working entrepreneurs navigating the rough world of the American West. What emerged would prove that sometimes the most terrifying monsters are the ones who smile over a cup of coffee and ask about your family back home. Leadville, Colorado, in 1881, was a city intoxicated by silver and gold, where fortunes were made or lost with a single swing of a pickaxe. Desperate souls from across the country flocked to this high-altitude boomtown, perched over 10,000 feet above sea level in the heart of the Rocky Mountains, chasing prosperity that seemed to gleam in every stream and rocky outcrop. In just 3 years, the town had exploded from a few hundred residents to nearly 30,000, making it Colorado's second largest city after Denver and one of the most chaotic boomtowns in American history. What had once been a serene valley where Ute Indians hunted elk and gathered medicinal herbs had transformed into a labyrinth of wooden buildings, muddy streets, and the relentless roar of mining equipment. Mines like the Matchless and the Little Pittsburgh were extracting millions of dollars worth of silver ore, creating instant millionaires and drawing every kind of fortune seeker imaginable. The air buzzed with ambition and desperation, thick with smelter smoke and the dreams of men who believed the next shovelful of dirt could change their lives forever. Leadville's streets were a quagmire of mud in summer and buried under snow for half the year, yet the promise of precious metals kept saloons, gambling halls, and businesses running around the clock. Harrison Avenue, the town's main thoroughfare, was lined with establishments catering to every human need and vice. The Tabor Opera House, where famous performers entertained the newly wealthy, gambling parlors where fortunes changed hands in days, long poker games, and countless saloons where miners spent their earnings as fast as they dug them from the ground. The boom attracted a diverse crowd: seasoned miners with calloused hands and silver dust embedded in their hair, Eastern businessmen in tailored suits staking claims through legal maneuvering, dance hall girls seeking better pay than Eastern factory jobs, con artists running schemes to fleece the naive, and families hoping to build new lives in the thin mountain air where anything seemed possible. Among this chaotic mix were Catherine and Margaret McKenna, two sisters in their late 20s who arrived from Boston in the spring of 1879 with little more than their life savings sewn into their dresses and a fierce determination to establish themselves. Their arrival stood out, not because two women traveling together was unusual, but because they carried themselves with a composure and confidence that intimidated even seasoned frontiersmen. Catherine, the elder at 31, was a striking figure with auburn hair that glowed in lamplight and green eyes that balanced warmth with a calculating edge, as if she were always 3 steps ahead. Standing nearly 6 feet tall, uncommon for a woman of that era, she commanded respect in Leadville's rough, male-dominated society. Her gift for conversation was legendary. She could make any patron, from a grimy prospector to a wealthy merchant, feel like the most fascinating person in the room. Catherine's memory for personal details was uncanny. She recalled customers' children's names, inquired about sick relatives, or referenced business deals mentioned weeks earlier, creating a sense of connection that disarmed even the most guarded men. They shared their deepest hopes and fears with her, never suspecting she was cataloging every word for potential use. Margaret, 28, was quieter, with a maternal quality that put people at ease in ways Catherine's intensity could not. Her soft brown hair, worn in a simple bun, and gentle brown eyes complemented a soothing voice that calmed even the most hardened men amidst Leadville's daily violence and chaos. Newcomers often remarked on how refreshing it was to find such a refined woman in a rough town, someone who seemed to embody the civilizing influence families hoped would tame the frontier. While Catherine was the charismatic face of their operation, charming customers and gathering information, Margaret was its practical heart. She managed the saloon's finances, kept meticulous records, and oversaw daily operations with precision. Her intuitive understanding of people allowed her to identify vulnerabilities within minutes, discerning whether someone was truly alone or had family who might come looking if they vanished. The McKenna Sisters Saloon stood on a prime corner lot on Harrison Avenue, housed in a two-story wooden building they had purchased and renovated with what they claimed was money saved from years in Boston's textile mills. The structure was remarkable for its solidity, timber hauled from Denver, real glass windows instead of the oiled paper common in Leadville, and a stone foundation that suggested permanence in a town of temporary shacks. The ground floor was the saloon proper, with a mahogany bar imported from Denver at great expense, pine tables crafted with Eastern finesse, and a small stage where traveling musicians performed for audiences of millionaires and penniless prospectors alike. Paintings of Irish countryside scenes adorned the walls, which Catherine claimed reminded her of their homeland, though no one ever heard the sisters speak with Irish accents. The second floor, they told curious neighbors, housed their private quarters and a few rooms rented to respectable working women needing temporary lodging, a charitable service to help them avoid Leadville's disreputable boarding houses catering to prostitutes and dance hall girls. The sisters charged modest rents, requiring references and proof of moral character, fostering the image of a sanctuary for virtuous women in a town where virtue was a rare luxury. What set the McKenna Saloon apart wasn't just the quality of its whiskey or the cleanliness of its glasses, though both were noted in a town accustomed to sticky floors and tobacco-stained spittoons. It was their reputation for helping young women find work that made them unique in a community where female newcomers were often met with suspicion or seen as entertainment. Word spread through mining camps and neighboring towns that the McKenna sisters offered jobs to women in need, providing room and board while they learned to serve drinks, keep books, or manage business tasks. Local church leaders praised them as exemplars of Christian charity, and the Leadville Herald-Democrat published a glowing article calling them angels of mercy in a land defined by harsh frontier realities. The first hint of something sinister came not from Leadville, but from a desperate letter arriving at the town marshal's office on a frigid November morning in 1880. The water-stained, travel-worn envelope bore a San Francisco postmark and handwriting trembling with cold or fear. Inside, Marshal William Dugan found 8 pages of cramped writing that told a story so disturbing he read it 3 times to believe it was real. The letter was from Emma Kowalski, a young woman who claimed to have escaped a brothel in San Francisco's Barbary Coast and was searching for her younger sister, Anna. Emma's words pulsed with desperation, written by someone who had witnessed humanity's darkest depths, driven by love, guilt, and rage born of having innocence stripped away. Emma and Anna had left Chicago after a tenement fire killed their parents and 17 others, destroying their home and possessions. With nothing left but memories and unaffordable graves, the sisters who had worked in a hat factory headed west, lured by tales of mining towns where women could earn decent wages in respectable jobs. Their journey was grueling, their savings depleted by train fares and necessities. By the time they reached Denver, they were nearly penniless, facing the prospect of being stranded as winter loomed. In Denver, they heard of the McKenna sisters, known for helping women find work and lodging in Leadville. Arriving in September 1880, exhausted and carrying their mother's carpetbag, they were welcomed by Catherine and Margaret with hot soup, clean beds, and encouraging words. For days, the sisters provided meals better than anything Emma and Anna had eaten since Chicago, new clothes, and advice about life in the West. Catherine spent hours discussing their skills and dreams, promising opportunities in Colorado and California, jobs in hotels, restaurants, or as housekeepers for wealthy families. After a week, Margaret prepared a special dinner to celebrate their decision to help the sisters find work in California. The meal, roast beef, potatoes, fresh bread, and a small cake, was delicious, but Emma and Anna grew unusually drowsy. Margaret suggested they rest for an early start, attributing their fatigue to travel. When Emma woke, she was in a wagon on a mountain road, hands bound, head pounding from what she later realized was laudanum mixed into her food. Anna lay unconscious beside her, pale and barely breathing. A bearded man with a Spanish accent drove the wagon, joking with Catherine about the merchandise they were transporting. When Emma demanded answers, he laughed, explaining they had been sold to California businessmen needing workers. Resistance, he warned, would bring violence. The McKenna sisters had already been paid for delivering 2 healthy young women. The journey to California took weeks, with Emma and Anna moved from wagon to train to ship, always guarded and drugged if they resisted. Emma learned dozens of other women were being trafficked along the same route, all lured by false promises. They were farm girls from Kansas, factory workers from the East, and immigrants fleeing hardship, united by desperation and trust in predators who saw their vulnerability as profit. Emma escaped after months when a fire broke out in the brothel, slipping away amid chaos. She hid in alleys, worked odd jobs, and saved for passage east, haunted by Anna's continued captivity. Her letter begged Marshal Dugan to investigate the McKenna sisters, find Anna, and stop the horrors destroying countless lives. Marshal William Dugan, a 15-year veteran of frontier law enforcement, was shaken by Emma's letter. He knew the McKenna sisters personally. Catherine had served him whiskey, remembering his preferences, while Margaret sent soup when his wife was ill. The idea that they could be involved in such crimes seemed unthinkable, yet Emma's detailed descriptions of their saloon, mannerisms, and operations were too precise to dismiss. Dugan began a discreet investigation, knowing an open move could alert the sisters, allowing them to destroy evidence or vanish. Reviewing missing persons reports was challenging due to frontier towns' poor record-keeping, but he found a chilling pattern. At least 15 women, daughters, sisters, wives, had vanished without explanation, often last seen near the McKenna Saloon after expressing hope about jobs offered by sisters. Margaret O'Brien, an 18-year-old Irish immigrant, had arrived in March 1880, told by locals that the McKenna sisters could help her find work. She entered their saloon one afternoon and was never seen again. Her cousin, who inquired the next day, was told she had left for a job in Denver. Sarah Jenkins, 22, stranded after her husband's death in a mining accident, disappeared after discussing San Francisco job prospects with Margaret. These cases, spread over time and involving diverse women, went unnoticed as a pattern until Emma's letter. Local business owners shared troubling observations. Thomas Brennan, a storekeeper, noted women entering the saloon with bags but never leaving during business hours. Sarah Fleming, a boarding house operator, had sent women to the sisters believing she was helping. Dr. William Patterson recalled examining subdued women at the saloon, now suspecting they were drugged. The investigation gained traction with Dr. Helena Morrison, a rare female physician who had been documenting suspicious cases. Trained at the Women's Medical College of Pennsylvania, she came to Colorado to serve women in frontier communities. In October 1880, she treated Clara Hoffman, a disoriented young woman showing signs of laudanum poisoning after dining at the McKenna Saloon. Clara's belongings had vanished, and Margaret claimed she had left in a sleepwalking episode. 2 weeks later, Rebecca Tanner, 19, was found wandering Leadville in her nightgown with laudanum symptoms and rope burns, having escaped a wagon transporting her. Dr. Morrison's records of these cases, combined with Emma's letter, gave Dugan enough to escalate his investigation, but he faced a challenge. The McKenna sisters were respected, tied to influential figures like silver magnate Horace Tabor, and their saloon was a community asset. Moving against them without ironclad evidence risked accusations of prejudice. The breakthrough came in February 1881 with Anna Kowalski's return to Leadville. Having endured months of forced prostitution in a Barbary Coast brothel, Anna escaped during a police raid, navigating a harrowing journey back through odd jobs and sheer will. Transformed by trauma, she was driven by a need for justice. Her testimony detailed the trafficking network's operations. Victims moved from Leadville to Denver, Salt Lake City, and San Francisco via routes avoiding law enforcement, with safe houses and corrupt officials facilitating the trade. The sisters kept meticulous records in a locked cabinet, documenting each victim's details and sale price, alongside personal items as trophies. Anna described psychological abuse. Victims told their families believed them dead or criminal, paired with calculated violence to ensure compliance. By March 1881, tension in Leadville was palpable. Anna's presence sparked rumors, and the sisters grew paranoid, with Catherine withdrawing socially and Margaret showing signs of stress. On a cold March night, Anna, ignoring Dugan's warnings, confronted the sisters in their saloon, armed with a derringer and evidence from her captivity. Seeing a new victim enter, she accused Catherine and Margaret publicly, detailing their crimes before stunned patrons. Catherine admitted to the trafficking, callously framing it as a business exploiting high demand for women in the West. The confrontation erupted into a gunfight when Dugan and his deputies intervened, killing 2 of the sisters' associates. Anna was wounded, and Margaret was fatally shot, mistaken for reaching for a weapon. Catherine escaped, vanishing despite a widespread manhunt. The saloon raid uncovered records of 47 trafficked women, $15,000 in profits, and photographs of victims, revealing the operation's scale. The case dismantled a network spanning 6 states, with federal arrests in Denver, Salt Lake City, and San Francisco. Anna survived, becoming an advocate for anti-trafficking laws, while Dr. Morrison's records aided prosecutions. Marshall Dugan, promoted to U.S. Marshal, pursued Catherine for years without success. The case reshaped Leadville, exposing how respectability could mask evil and prompting better protections for vulnerable women. Yet, with Catherine's fate unknown, questions linger. Do secrets remain buried in those Colorado mountains? What do you think of this story? Share your thoughts below and subscribe for more chilling mysteries.